Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Denje Adoration for those of you who do not know me, and for my returning subscribers, I appreciate the love, the support, and the consistency. Someone texted me yesterday on Instagram. She's like, "When are you uploading another YouTube video?" And I'm like, I didn't know you love me that much. Like, I knew you love me, but that much, I did not think you'd love me that much. So, yeah, she's actually the one who also motivated me to do this video. I was gonna do it, but probably later on. But yeah, man, I really hope this is gonna be the last part of Let's Get Better with Time, and then I'll share whatever I wanted to share based on my experience. The goal was to just give an indication of or a window on what I was going through. It's not everything. Obviously, I can't share everything, but it was just like a window. I was like, let's just say 60% transparent because there's that 40% that, only the people close to you know about, and it's just not right to share in a public platform. But um through that 60%, you're able to get an idea of the things that I was going through, and hence when I share, you're able to relate to my teachings and relate to whatever I'm gonna be talking about after this. So yeah, man. So last time I talked about having to give the lady at always says a chance, right? And initially it was not out of my heart. It was just I wanted her to back me up when I don't submit, and so that I am able to like make excuses whenever I have those days when I can't even do a thing. I'm able to have backup, if that makes sense. My biggest fear at that moment, it was not even a fear. At some point, it stopped being a fear, hey, but I didn't want to fail. I don't want to repeat the year. First things first, is that I'm self-funded. So, dude, like paying another 150K is not um, in the plans, right? And on top of that, it's just not ideal. Imagine like your friends are graduating and like you are behind. Even if there were circumstances, but there were just some certain things that I personally do not want to go through. You understand? Because somehow I feel like everyone goes through different things, and those are some of the things that I personally don't want to go through. So that's also another reason why I emailed my course coordinator, because I thought I was gonna fail. Like, I came to a place where I was really convinced that I was gonna fail. And I remember when my uncle was dropping me off to vets, I was so sad and angry, because I understand, during the grieving process and everything, my family members, my aunts and my uncles were just like, you know what, focus on your studies, my dear, try to pass the year, God is with you, and all of that. And because I've been through first semester I still had a mom, and issues were not as intense like they are now. And I felt like it was swallowing me. You understand the amount of work, the workload, and my incompetence in certain areas. Like, I couldn't use my laptop, so I had to learn how to use a laptop and um, learn the work at the same time, which required double from my part. And just a lot of issues in J. It was just a lot. Typing, I would take a while to type. Like, a paragraph would take me ages to type. So those are some of the things that placed me at a disadvantage. And so now I'm in this mental state, and for my family to okay, a part of me blamed my family. Like, I know they meant good, but a part of me is just like, why are you throwing me in the shark's mouth? Like, I'm dealing with this right now. I just want to not go back to school. So I remember I was talking to my friend the other time, and I was explaining to her the situation, what is happening, and how I'm feeling. And she's like, can you please just be honest with yourself? Like, forget family, forget everybody else. But, do you think you are mentally okay to tackle semester two? And I'm like, no. Like, that was just me being honest. And she's like, how about taking a leave of absence? So a leave of absence is when, for instance, during the year, for instance, with my case, right? And during the year something traumatic happens and you think you can't complete the year. So basically, you didn't fail first semester or anything of that sort. Maybe you did, I don't know. But like, you're not able to complete the year. You are being honest with yourself that I'm not able to push through the end of the year. And so what happens is that you sign that leave of absence, you come back the following year, and you finish the semester. So you're literally like a semester behind your grade, technically. But at the end of the day, not necessarily a semester behind, but like, you're a year behind. But you didn't fail. That's the first thing, and you don't have to pay extra fees. So that was like a good option for me. I thought about it. I really entertained the idea. Shame. I remember talking to my friend the other time because Vela was going through a lot, and he didn't like the idea. The one friend of mine who was like very present during the grieving process from the get-go, and he's like, no, Denji, I really strongly feel like you can push through. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, don't invalidate my trauma, don't, you know what I mean? Though, like, honestly, at that point I was just not mentally fit for this, do you get me? Or mentally fit for my course. So but I listened to him, and I'm like, it's fine. I didn't bring the idea to my parents, African parents. I didn't bring the idea to my dad or my family. But a part of me felt like, why don't you just allow me to stay at home? Like I can't. I've already dealt with a lot. Like, why am I here? So when we were having our therapy sessions, we're supposed to deal with my grief and, the near-attempted rape, the childhood trauma, all that kind of stuff. But we never really had so much time with it because I explained to her my fears of failing the year. And, during therapy, it was an opportunity to find ways to pass the year. We're trying to save the year. Me and my therapist, we ganged up, not ganged up per se, but we are like, teamwork, and we're trying to save the semester. So what happened was that every single therapy session, I talked about the whole thing during one therapy session, but the following therapy sessions was ways in which to navigate through my work when I felt overwhelmed, for instance, and I'm not able to make my submissions. I would text my course coordinators, I would CC her. She's trying to find ways in which I can be able to submit everything that I'm supposed to submit that is compulsory, and I'm not able to suffer the consequences because of my mental health at that time. So honestly, therapy then, I would only bring up my mom or the abuse whenever I have a dream, but then it was like briefly, probably at the end of the session. The beginning of the session, I'll probably be complaining about how much schoolwork is and everything, and how I'm not able to cope. Guys, the way my mental health was so bad, like, I remember even one time I was going to my friend's room and I'm like, please explain this to me. And she tried to explain, but like I was not getting it. And I felt so dumb. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. I felt so dumb because there was just a lot of things going on in my mind. I felt so dumb, and I couldn't even like be transparent about the fact that I felt so dumb. There were people that I was studying with in first semester, right? And because I was at I was okay-ish, in as much as I was dealing with a lot of things in first semester, I was able to comprehend information. I was able to reason. I was able to work. You understand? But now I'm mentally child. I can't do anything. So I became distant from those people that I used to study with because I didn't want to feel like a burden. Do you understand? And also now the place that I was at now, I went to my friend and like she tried to explain and she's like, "Do you understand?" I'm like, no, but I'll be okay. And then I went to my room. Yes, next time when someone says I'll be okay, don't let them go, okay? Don't let them go. Like, go to them and try to explain to them until they understand. Because shame, like, when we're dealing with a lot, we don't want to feel like a burden. So sometimes it's just like, nah, we're just too much for other people, and hence you end up suffering alone. But anyways, that was the issue. And also another thing is I realized that my grief at that time was affecting my relationships, right? So coming to a place where I was expecting certain people to be there for me, and maybe they're dealing with issues of their own and they weren't there, or there are people who were there for me but weren't there for me as much, or weren't there for me as I would like them to be there for me, So coming to a place where that this person loves you, that this person cares for you, and they will do anything to protect you and to show you love, but for some reason you feel some type of way about them. And that is what grief does. It lies to you. So for instance, with my best friend, I know that my best friend will do anything for me. She came to the funeral during COVID. Like, she did a lot of things. She went out of her way. She attends every important event in my life, irregardless of how hectic her schedule is. She makes time for me. So I know these things to be true, but at that moment I'm feeling some type of way about her, right? Like, she's not checking up on me, like, has she forgotten about me? And that is when you realize that this grief is starting to spill into other areas of your life, which is friendship. So also my other friend who was very present, was overly present, which I appreciate very much, because hey, I don't know what I would have done without him. He was overly present, and so he became like a punching bag, low key. It was not intentional, but times when I'm frustrated, times when I'm going through a lot, family drama, whatever the case might be, I would like vent out to him, and it almost seems as though I'm attacking him, but I'm not. I'm just so hurt, and all I can take out of me is hurt. When the scripture says that out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks, and sometimes I would say things, right, that after saying them I'm like, I didn't want to say that, I didn't mean that, right? Yes, I didn't mean what I said, but then it's an indication of what is in my heart. So if all that is in my heart is hurt and bitterness, that's what I'm going to take out. So even when I'm with my friend, I'll say things that are hurtful. I'll try to compare his trauma with my trauma, for instance, and but I think one thing that I'd admire about him, and he'll be one of the closest people to me, is that like he never personalized it at that point, because like he was just like, I just want to be there for you, even if it means that I'll be hurt sometimes, and if it means that I'll be taking bullets sometimes, or I'll be a venting machine. I'll be a venting recipient. Like, I don't care, as long as I'm here for you, Denje. I don't want you to go through things alone. So things were so hectic, right? And that was where I found the most amazing people ever. So I became distant from my friends, because I also got tired of saying I'm not fine every day. Because the thing is, when you lose a parent, it's not like a bad day. It's not like I don't know, maybe you lost money, and then next month you're gonna get your allowance and you're gonna forget that you lost money. It's not unfortunate event that happens that is like temporary. It's permanent. You get me. So to come to a place where you're okay with it and you accept it is a process. So if someone lost their parent, you can't expect them to be happy overnight. And I remember when I was in grade 9, when my friend lost his mom, like I could see that he was never the same again. Like, it was like I saw that his smile changed, and I feel like when I'm looking back now, I realized how selfish I was, because I wanted him to be okay. I'm just like, sort of like, I didn't obviously utter the words Uguti, get over it already, but months went by, a year went by, but he was still sad, and I now understand why. You can't expect someone to just overnight be okay, be happy. And I remember this one time when I went to my spiritual mom's place, not so long ago, it was this year, and I was smiling at her, we're talking and conversating, and she's looking at me, I'm smiling, right? And she's like, I can see the smile that you are okay-ish, but it's not as bright as it used to be. And I'm just like, she's like, are you really okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And when I'm saying I'm fine, it's like I'm trying to convince myself that I'm fine, more than me trying to convince her. I'm like, no, I'm okay, I'm really fine. So at that point, or that phase in my life, which I feel like I'm now better, at that phase in my life, I was not gonna get better anytime soon. Do you understand? So as a friend, you can't text me today, how are you doing? And the following day when you say, how are you doing? You expect me to say I'm okay now. So every single day I feel like it became worse, because it's like there are so many things that reminded me of her. There were so many triggers, and so many instances when I'm dealing with a lot of things that I would literally talk to my mom about, but now I can't, which would just make me feel more devastated. So I missed her more, and I became aware of what I really lost as the time went by. Those days when you'd miss Uber Eats, and that you would text your mom, don't you feel like blessing your daughter with donuts, and now you can't. And I know that my aunt said I could ask them anything when I'm having cravings or whatever, but a part of you feels like, this is just a craving. Why would you want to bother other people about it, And that your grandmother is in her pension years. Why would you want to bother your grandmother over a craving, or over friends or going out, And why would you want to bother your aunts? They have families, they have people to take care of. And I feel like that's the over thinking side of me. But yeah, like, all these things, all these triggers, all these moments when I know that I would run to my mom and now I don't have a mom made me feel even more devastated. So at that point in time, I became distant from my friends because I just felt like my life was too much of maintenance. And also, I feel like one thing about grief, it makes you selfish because at that point I'm drowning. And if you're gonna come to me and tell me you're dealing with something, that was last year was the worst time to ever come to me about any issue or any problem that you might be having, because likelihood is that I'm not gonna be even there 100%. And even when you're telling me your problems, I might not listen to you 100%. Do you get what I mean? Okay, except my other friend was also just going through a lot or going through the same thing, because it's like you're swimming in the same pool. But chances are that if you came to me last year with an issue or you are trying to get help from me, or advice from me, I was just drained. I couldn't give anything because I was empty. So at that point, I became distant. I distanced myself from people, and that was where a lot of friendships were shed off. I lost a lot of friends, which is understandable. But those friends that I even distanced myself from, the true friends, still stuck around. They didn't let me go. Like for instance, even with Aru, I remember times when she would literally come to me and she would make efforts to come see me and everything. At that time, I'm just like so miserable. And at some point, I realized that, like, it's not a pain that she can handle. It's not a pain that she can deal with. It's not a pain that she can heal me from. And expecting my friend or my best friend to heal me from such trauma, or expecting anyone for that matter to heal me, was just beyond reasonable. It was unreasonable, because the thing is, when you're dealing with pain, and you don't take responsibility for your own healing, it strains your relationship, because now you're expecting them to make you feel better. Now that you tell them that, yeah, I'm not fine, and you explain why you're not fine, you place the responsibility on them to make you feel better, which is unfair. What if they can't make you feel better? Now you feel worse. You're like, why did I open up anyways, right? I became distant, and when I became distant, I became depressed. And at that moment, I didn't think it was depression, because I'm like, nah, I don't want to be depressed, like I don't want to be depressed, I'm fighting it. I'm fighting the feelings of numbness and everything. But at this point, I am socially distant from my friend. So there are so many amazing people in my life at that point who saw me drowning silently, because you're not gonna say it out loud that you're drowning, right? But they were there. And I remember this one specific guy at that time. Like, he would text me out of nowhere. He's like, have you submitted this? Have you done this? Have you done that? And if he had not texted me, I promise you guys, I would not have submitted those things. I would not have done all that. So him texting me, and at times, yes, I would be transparent to my therapist, but sometimes I got tired, like having to tell your therapist all the time, I'm not done submitting this, I'm not done doing that. At that point, I'm just like, I really think I need a leave of absence. I really just want to take a break, come back next year stronger. But anyways, he would text me. He's like, are you done with this? And I'm like, no. He's like, are you gonna do it? I'm like, no. And then he would walk all the way from his race to my race, right? We go to the study areas. He helps me to submit. Maybe let's just say the submissions is at 12. He would come at 11, guys. He would come at 11, and he would do the thing for me, like, or he will help me through it. And sometimes when I'm writing essays, for instance, he would reference for me and help me with referencing and submissions and all of that. So he was very present. He was the most present, actually, when it comes to my schoolwork. Really helped me a lot and carried me. At that time, I needed carrying, guys. I didn't want you to like show me how it's done. I wanted you to do it for me. Not necessarily, but like carry me through first year. Carried me through first year. And that is when you need friends like that, who will make you feel stupid. Because, to be honest, it's not that I'm stupid, but at the place that I was at, I looked stupid. I would be in class, maybe if there was contact classes, but there were no contact classes at that time, and not even have a clue of what you're saying. And I was so behind most of the time, and it was just so sad. Also, one thing I realized at that point was my bitterness. I would literally go on WhatsApp, and I didn't want to have conversations, because when I had a conversation with you on WhatsApp, you're gonna ask me how am I doing, and I didn't want to lie. It's so draining to say I'm fine, but I would sometimes just say I'm fine because I mean, like, honestly, at that point in time, I was just going through a lot. I would literally take a YouTube video like this on one day, yeah, and a different, completely different YouTube video. Like, I would literally post on my status smiling and laughing and like, hi guys, welcome. I think I'll actually post it, and the next minute I'm I'm taking a video of me crying. Obviously, I didn't post. I think I did. I don't remember. Of me crying, but most of the time, the videos that I took of myself crying because I felt like no one saw me in that time, and I felt like I was all alone, and Vele my friends were there, but I was under the notion that I was a burden and I didn't reach out sometimes because I felt like I was too much. On top of that, school is just the pits, guys, and expecting your friends to be there 24/7 was just unrealistic. So um I was suppressing issues. I was just trying to pass. And I remember even one time my friend saw me and he's like, "What is the one thing you want this year?" Right? He was like very happy, and I'm like, "I want to pass the year." He's like that. Like, that's all. I'm like, "Yes. I feel like if I pass the year, it'll all be worth it. Everything that I went through this year, like I've been through a lot, and the least, it's like I'm telling God, I'm like, the least that you can do for me, Lord, is to help me pass. Do you get me? So I would not leave my room. I preferred dark curtains. I didn't open the sun, like sunshine wouldn't come through. Those are habits that I didn't realize that were toxic, but at that time it's like, okay. So my curtains were always closed. I was always in my room. My room looked messier than usual. I wasn't cleaning. I didn't have the strength to even get out of my room to go to the dining hall. At that time, my roommate would go fetch food from the dining hall for me. On top of that, the dining hall food was wet most of the time, so it would just become even more frustrating. Sometimes I would even become sick out of the DH food, and there were a lot of complaints that were put, but then, like, there wasn't much I could do. And I also think because I have been cooking like for a very long time, ever since childhood, so I'm very like picky in the way that I eat. And just my mom was very picky. My mom was very picky, so like I just feel like I got that from her. So I would be in my room, she would go get the dining hall food, and sometimes I would eat, sometimes I wouldn't. Most of the time I would take a pack, which was edible, because I know that with a sandwich or with a burger, chances of it being bad are slim. And I was always in my room. So at this point, I'm so depressed that I'm not even able to do much. And I remember having a dream of my mom looking at me, and she's frustrated. She's like, "Denje, like, I'm okay, please continue studying." Like, and she was standing at the exact same spot of my grade 11 I was when we're taking a picture with my grandmother, and she was there, and she's like, "Why are you not pulling through?" She's looking at me, she's like frustrated. And then at that point, like, Jesus grabbed her by the hand. She's like, "Let her be, like, leave her alone." Like, it's like Jesus trying to make her understand that at that time, or at that point, "Mom, I'm trying. I can't. Like, I hear you, you're fine. Yeah, good thing you're happy without me, sure." But I'm not fine. You left me alone. I'm not okay. So, and I didn't see Jesus' face, for those of you who are wondering. It's just, you sense a person's presence, and then they're trying to explain, and then, and that was it. So I tried to push, but it was not working. I was so weak. The nightmares continued. My year was just horrible. My hair was just horrible, shame. And um I saw bitterness manifesting in so many areas. So for me, bitterness was not when you post your mom. No, if you post your mom, Mina, I'm like, cool. Like, it literally didn't really trigger me that much. um and I wasn't like, after losing my mom, like, be like, appreciate your mom. Or if I see someone else fighting with their mom, I would make it personal, because I realized that we have different relationships with our parents. You understand? So I can't take my bitterness now and be like, okay, someone else has a mom and then they're fighting their mom. I don't know what's going on. Other people are abused by their mom, so I can't project that hurt on another person. But the bitterness that was there was why is everyone happy except me? So, and that is the delusion that you have with social media. You literally can go on social media and see people posting happy moments, but it doesn't guarantee that they are happy. But that was where I was at emotionally. I just thought I was the only one going through this. I was the only one going through this mess. And on top of that, I was slowly but surely distancing myself from God. It was not a quick thing, it was a gradual process. So yeah, the bitterness was that. And I had to pray about it because, I mean, if you don't want other people to be happy, then you're a witch, literally. You're a witch. You don't realize those negative emotions would manifest or will bear bad fruits later on. But then if you notice it then and there in the early stages, you're able to pray about it and ask God to deal with those negative emotions. Because literally, someone would post, I had such an amazing year this year and all of that. And I'm like, why are you showing off that you had an amazing year? That type of thing, you know? And I feel like that's the same thing. But well, I never understood why people don't celebrate other people's success. You know, I'm not saying that I don't celebrate people's success, I do. Um, but I never understood why someone would look at your achievements or look at you happy or something with so much bitterness. It's because at that point in their lives, they are just so sad. There's nothing going right for them, or there's nothing going well for them, and hence if they don't pray about those things and they don't monitor those things, because certain things are planted by the devil in our heads, some certain thoughts are not godly. You know, you have to be able to come to a place where you can manage your emotions. So I was there, I'm like, no, I'm not like this is not the kind of person that I am. I can't be looking at someone being happy and be so bitter, you know. And the bitterness, you know, transmitted to self-pity. I felt sorry for myself, and I'm like, I can't live like this. So obviously I had to pray about it, and God dealt with those negative emotions. And yeah, vele vele, it was not an overnight thing. You know, if it means that you have to stop viewing people's statuses for some time, that's okay, until you focus on your own healing, you know. And that way you're not able to project your hurts and your experiences on other people. You get what I mean? So that was an issue. The year progressed, you know, and then I think um, with the progression of the year, I was just trying to pass the year. That's all. That was the main goal. And it led to a lot of suppression of issues. I suppressed so many issues and they piled up. It manifested both physical fatigue and mental fatigue. Spiritually, I was child. I don't even remember when was the last time. Like, yeah, I think once in a while. I think I attended for online services after that once in a while, but like still I was not as present in my relationship with God like I was before, you know. So things were hectic in terms of my spiritual department, but also I feel like there were just so many issues, one issue after the other, that I like, honestly, which is not an excuse, but there was just an issue after the other, to such an extent where I wasn't able to just sit down and just reflect on my relationship with God and just direct my energy there. You understand? So that was an issue. And so the main focus was passing the year, and um, what, because all my issues were manifesting both physically, because I was feeling sick and everything. This one time, I was having a shower and I got out of the shower. After showering, I had my gown on, you know, and my neighbor, she came, and like, she's also my friend. She came and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm good, you know, you have an amazing morning. I think it was around 10 a.m. And she was talking, and then eventually I just started to lose breath, and then I collapsed on top of her, and I couldn't respond. I could hear what she was saying, but I couldn't respond much. They took me to the clinic. They gave me an injection, and because I had a test to write, during that test I was so dizzy I couldn't even see a thing, you know. But I was trying to push, because I don't like writing supplementary things, not supplementary per se, but I don't like, you know, when people have written something, I don't want to have something hanging over my head, like an exam hanging over my head or something over my head. I could have just simply deferred, but I didn't want to. So I wrote that, and then I later on, my aunt came to take me, and she, because I was not feeling any better, and she took me to this other practice. and then the doctor diagnosed me with depression. So at that point, I was very skeptical. Vele the symptoms were there. The isolation, the unhealthy eating patterns. Insomnia. I couldn't sleep. Like, even my outlook in life, I didn't really have hope anymore. It's just like, why am I even leaving? Oh, I was not suicidal. I think at some point I was, but I wasn't gonna do it, like. But I was like, why am I leaving? Like, I feel like if I was suicidal, then very, very mild symptoms. I was not gonna do, like, I was not planning to do any self-harm, but like, I was just not enthusiastic about living or continuing to live. I don't know if it makes sense. So I don't know if you'd categorize that as suicidal, but I wasn't hopeful, like, yay, I'm hopeful for another day. It's a beautiful day. Nah, every day was just like, here we go again. So he gave me some medication, antidepressants, and anxiety tablets and sleeping tablets. So I honestly didn't want to take them. I didn't feel good about taking them because um, I just I couldn't accept the idea that I need medication just to remain sane, or I need a medication just to be happy, or to not break down, or to just be able to focus. So it took me 2 days to decide whether or not I should take those medication, and even prayed about it, right? But I was just, because the thing is, I never wanted to be hooked for life on anything, guys. I hate medication. Even when I was growing up, my mom would take me to the doctor once in a while. I'm never like a doctor person. I think I started going to the doctor a lot when I started having my periods, because my periods were very irregular. But apart from that, I'm not a sickly person. So even with that, if I had flu or something, I would never finish my medication, even if they say finish your medication, you understand? So this one was just another impossible mission, you know what I mean? So um the following day was just horrible, mentally, emotionally, physically. So I decided to take them just to give it a try. It didn't make much of a difference. I didn't feel the difference. And with regards to sleep, when I took my sleeping medication, I didn't sleep. I was still failing to sleep even after taking the sleeping medication. But the crazy thing is that the following day I was sleepy throughout, and like, I'm supposed to be studying now, but then the medication is now kicking in now during the day, which was like, nah, I'm not gonna do this. So I stopped taking the medication and I just continued living life. And then one thing that sort of like motivated me one time was when I decided to go out to take the DH food, because I get it before that Homo will be the one to go get the DH food for me. I decided to go out this time. And then when I was going out, I'm seeing people in scrubs, right? And like, I'm very motivated, but at the same time, I realized that I actually am afraid of failing. At that point, I thought my fear for failure was like decreasing slowly but surely. But now I realize that no, man, I really want to pass, because I imagined a scenario where I'm telling my grandchild that I was once in med school and then things didn't go well and I ended up dropping out or failing, or I wasn't able to finish because of this reason. And so that was too painful for me to accept. And then that was sort of like the spur, and it was like nearly the end of the year. That was like the spur that I needed to just keep on holding on. Like, I feel like my matric year and my first year just shows you sometimes all you need to do is just hang on there, hang in there, like hang in there. That's all you can do. Sometimes you can't fight, but just hanging in there does a lot of good. So I was writing my chemistry paper, and I wrote my first paper in the morning, and then there was a break in between. I slept because I was very tired. I told Huma, I'm like, please wake me up during the break. And then she's like, okay, fine, I'll wake you up. So during the dream, that was like the first dream. During the sleep, that was like the first dream that I had of my mom. That was good. Because before this, it's either my mom is like telling me to work, or she's warning me about something, or I'm having nightmares about her. I'm dreaming of coffins. I'm dreaming of hugging her and then she disappears in my arms, all those kind of traumatic dreams. But this is the first good dream that I'm having of my mom, right? And I'm working with my friend, and I approach her and I'm seeing my mom. She's drawing water from a well. It looks like heaven, but not really heaven. Maybe like let's just say outside heaven. You know, like if maybe there's a gate to heaven, she's like there. She's drawing from a well. I honestly don't know where it was, but the place looked very heavenly and very beautiful. You know, very normal, like gravel road, but then this kind of sand was clean and she looked so beautiful. Like when I was growing up, my mom used to say. Like I had curly hair, when I was growing up and all of that, and I didn't believe her. Like, I'm just like, okay, mom, I'm just listening, but I don't really believe what she's saying. But in the dream, she had beautiful curly hair. She was very, her skin was so clear, her eyes were shining. She was like so beautiful. And then I'm looking at her. She's looking at the guy next to me. She's like, "Who's this?" I'm like, "Mom, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. This is a friend." So thing is my mom was very like present in my life, so even in terms of relationships or friendships, like I wouldn't go out with you if my mom didn't know you, right? And even with guys that I liked, I would tell her about it, and maybe sometimes not even tell her, but she'll find out because like she was a prophet, so she knew everything. But I'm like, no, mom, don't worry. He's just a friend. And then she's like, okay. And then she smiled at me. The smile that she gave me was the smile that she usually gives me every awards evening, and that was an interpretation from God that no, you're gonna pass first year. So my anxiety were low, my anxiety decreased, my everything decreased. I'm looking at her, I'm smiling, like I'm feeling so much peace, so much love, so much happiness after such a long time. I'm checking the time and it's like 13:01. I'm checking good, like I'm writing my second chemistry paper at 2, so I'm looking at the distance that I have to travel back to time. So crazy, right? And then Humlemo taps my feet then and there, and she's like, "Wake up, girl! 1 hour left, and then you're writing your last paper." I don't know if it was my last paper, but yeah, she's like, one hour left. So I woke up, and then I immediately checked the time because I get it in my dream. It was like 13:01. I'm like, I want to make sure, Guti, was this a dream or was this real? So I'm checking the clock. I'm checking my watch. It's like 13:02. I'm like, I was in heaven. I was in heaven. I was in heaven. But anyways, I was happy. Like it felt so good. And I finished writing, and when I immediately finished with all my papers, I went out with my friend. I was not doubtful that I passed the year and just enjoyed myself. And I told myself that I'm gonna spend like a week. Um, I'm gonna spend like a week at the race because I need some me time. In as much as I miss my family, I just need time to unwind, time to just be happy, time to not stress about books because this whole year I've been stressing about books, and now I can just enjoy the beauty of it, go to the hockey field, not because I'm stressed, but just because I want to like see how beautiful the hockey field is, watch Netflix, all of that. But during that time I was bleeding heavily. I was on my periods, and with each and every single day, like I was bleeding more than I was supposed to. So I lost a lot of blood. I became very weak. I went to the doctor to get checked up on, and then he said it's just abnormal periods like always, and he said he's putting me on contraceptives. I didn't like the idea, guys. I hate medication. I know it's very ironic for what I'm currently doing now, but I hate medication. I hate going to the doctor, and I hate injections. So I'm like, oh, I'll think about it, but then I never took them. They're still here even now, but I never took them. So that was when I'm like, you know what, baby girl, you need to just go home. And packed my things. I went home, and because I'm out of time, I'm gonna leave you guys there. I'll answer the question, does it get better with time, on my fourth video, hopefully. Yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, man, keep safe, guys, and be happy.